Today we're going to be talking about how to use green eyeshadow if you have hazel eyes. And I have hazel eyes, which is kind of hard to tell sometimes when I'm on camera because I can't always get the lighting right in order to highlight the fact that my eyes aren't just brown, or as they show up in a lot of instances, black, creepy baby doll eyes, I believe is the phrase someone used once. But they are actually hazel. If you look at my review of Mascara X, you can see that they are green in parts and brown in others. So I consider myself a hazel-eyed girl, and this is how I use green eyeshadow. So I'm going to do two looks, one on either side of my face, so I don't have to go scrub my face and come back and do more. But it means it's going to be a little tricky for you. I'll try and tilt the camera back and forth so you're not looking at the other eye wondering what's going on. Alright, so the colors that I like to use on my eyes. For daytime, I like to go with an earthier green, usually with bronze or gold overtones in order to, because I have a very warm skin tone, so gold tends to work well with my skin tone, and I usually use that just as a liner on the bottom part of the eye, with some light gold shadow swept further up the lid. So it doesn't look too dark, it doesn't look, like nighttime eyeshadow instead of daytime eyeshadow. So this is how I do that look. Alright, so the first thing I do before I put on any eyeshadow, is I put on the eyeshadow primer, because this will keep your eyeshadow in place and make sure that you don't end up with eyeshadow where it's not supposed to be, or creasing, or anything like that. It's extremely useful. I encourage anyone to buy it. The kind that I like is Urban Decay's eyeshadow primer potion. I have this in 3 colors because they make it in this, they make it in a light gold, and they make it in a brighter gold. And I have all of them. But once your primer is dry, which was why that little diversion happened, I line my top lid with black eyeliner. Now, most people would say that you would put on the eyeliner after the eyeshadow, but since it's daytime, I don't think a black line on your top lid is what you want to go for. So I put it on before the eyeshadow, and that way the eyeshadow helps to blur the line a little, and we're getting some assistance from makeup assistant Misty here today. So just take the pencil and I sweep the line all over my lid from the inner corner to the outer corner, thicker towards the outer corner, lighter towards the inner corner, because that's what your lash line does on its own, so we want to just follow what your body's doing, or what your natural lash line is, because that'll make it less obnoxious, I guess is a good way to put that. Alright, so then we're going to take our dark green eyeshadow. The dark green eyeshadow I am using is Urban Decay's Chains, and it's one of my favorites. It's, a dark olive green with a lot of shimmer to it. I really like it, and we're going to take a smudge brush, which is a little brush that looks like this. So it's got short, thick bristles and a half dome, and it's great for controlled application of eyeshadow. So I'm going to load it up. Going to lean down and just smudge the eyeshadow on the bottom half of the lid. So there you can see, the green is showing up, it's present, but I don't take it too high, because if it goes too high, then you start getting the Lady of the Night look. And then I'm going to finish off with Urban Decay's Midnight Cowboy, which is a light sparkly gold color. So we're going to sweep that actually over the entire lid, even over the eyeshadow we just applied, because it'll help soften that up a little bit more and make it more presentable. So there is the basic daytime green eye for me, and finish off with mascara as always. So go ahead and do that. Get the full effect. Yeah. So it's green. I feel like it complements a hazel eye, especially one that runs perhaps a little darker towards brown the way mine do. but it's not aggressive, and you avoid the pastel green problem. I hate pastel green eyeshadows because they never look the way I think they're going to. So that's why I don't use them. I tend to use darker green eyeshadows and then just lighten them up with a coating of a lighter color. So now we have daytime eye, and we're going to work on nighttime eye. For nighttime eye, I decided to go full aggressively green and show how that you can frame that a little bit to make it work for nighttime. But since it is nighttime, we can use bolder colors. So primer, and this time, because it's a nighttime look, I'm going to be taking the primer all the way up the eye socket. Now I have fairly large eye sockets. My brow bone actually doesn't start until way up here. So I have a lot of room to play around with. If you've got less room, you know, you can adjust as you will. But for me, I have very wide eye sockets. I don't have wide eyes. It's an interesting distinction to make. Alright, so now we have our green eyeshadow, which in this case is Urban Decay's Cream Shadow in Grass. Now, this stuff, I don't usually use Cream Shadow because Cream Shadow kind of has one speed, if you know what I mean. It's on or it's not. With powder shadows, you get they're a little more forgiving. You can play around with them a bit more and shade them better, and if you want them darker, you put on multiple layers, or you do a wet application. If you want them lighter, you use a bigger brush, spread them out more. Anyway, this eyeshadow, because it is a cream eyeshadow, goes on exactly the color that you see, and it goes on in one big fat green layer. So you can see it's very, very green, which for some people is very, very scary. But I can assure you that it is not as scary as you think it is. Alright, so once I've done that, I'm going to take a gray powder. In this case, we're using Urban Decay's, what is this called? Gunmetal in loose powder, and one day I will tell you why all of my eyeshadow is Urban Decay. It is not because they are paying me, I assure you. So we're going to dip the brush in, load up with some powder, and loose powder is tricky to work with, so if you've got the option, I would say go with the pan instead of the loose powder form. And then you sweep that along the bottom of your lid to kind of darken it up a bit. And do just a little bit more. Kind of shade that just a touch darker. And then the middle section, I'm going to leave as is. I'm going to leave it very, very, very green. Because that's the point. It's green shadow. But for the top, in order to blend the top of this green a little bit better so it doesn't just stop, I'm going to take Urban Decay's Oozy, which is white sparkly eyeshadow, and I'm just going to, starting at the inside corner of my eye, sweep up and out towards the brow bone and down and off to the side. So now we are also sparkly. And so this I would consider a nighttime look because it's much more aggressive and bold in terms of color. It's a lot more coverage, and it's a lot more sparkle. I tend to wear sparkle when I go out at night. Then we'll finish off with a line of black eyeliner. This time we're going on top of the eyeshadow since it's nighttime, and we want that line to stand out. And then we're going to take our mascara and finish off. Now, I could line my bottom lid, but I'm not going to this time. And there you have it. So, there is, get right in the camera, your nighttime green eye look. And there's your daytime. Camera reverses everything I do. There is your daytime green eye look. Alright, so if you got questions, leave them for me. And I'm just gonna rock this just like this for the rest of the night like a boss. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.